and welcome to this episode of Genesis Week, the weekly program of creationary commentary on news, views, and events pertaining to the Origins controversy, answering your questions and questioning your answers. We continue to bring you the information the anti-creationists don't want you to see or hear, and we continue to give glory to the Creator while doing it. We believe God gave you an intelligently designed brain for a reason, and He expects you to use it. Remember, you can find us in cyberspace at wazulu.com, that's me, or at genesisweek.com, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and get extras like Crevo Rants and full interviews with our guests. I'm your host, Ian Juby. Now, the Greenland ice cores are simply samples that were taken of the glaciers in Greenland, which again form in allegedly annual layers by the accumulation of snow and sleet compressed into a big, thick sheet of ice, sometimes over 3 kilometers, that's 10,000 feet, thick. A core sample is just simply a tube which is drilled into the ice, and then the ice sample is removed from inside the tube. Now, when one looks at the ice samples, you see these alleged annual layers in the ice. The Greenland ice core is alleged to represent some 110,000 years of annual ice layers. Now, already, such an age poses a problem for the biblical account of creation and a young Earth of 6,000 years old. Is the Bible wrong? Now, if we do some simple math, assuming 3,000 meters of ice, that works out to about 2.7 centimeters, or about 1 inch, of ice accumulating per year. But once again, the problem is the assumptions involved. In 1942, a squadron of American P-38 Lightning aircraft and 2 B-17 Flying Fortresses flew from a secret military base in Greenland, heading to England to join the war against the Nazi regime. Now, they had to refuel in Iceland, but en route, they found out that the airfield at Iceland was socked in by fog, and they wouldn't be able to land. So, they turned back to their base in Greenland. Unfortunately, they soon found out that the airfield they left from had also become socked in, and they were running out of fuel. The squadron decided to land on the ice fields of Greenland. All but one of the aircraft performed gear-up belly landings with minimal damage to the aircraft, which were abandoned right where they landed. The crews were all rescued by dog sled several days later. In 1980, a U.S. airplane dealer by the name of Patrick Epps got the idea to go out and salvage these vintage aircraft. After several years and a lot of money spent, they finally located what they thought were the aircraft underneath the ice. It actually took specialized radar to see through the ice. They were in for the shock of their lives. The aircraft were buried under some 75 meters, 250 feet of ice. Obviously, the assumptions of deep time were just plain wrong, as this represented an accumulation of 1.6 meters per year, not the assumed 2.7 centimeters per year. Now, using those kind of figures, you could accumulate the 3,000 meter Greenland ice sheet in less than a measly 2,000 years. One of the P-38s was salvaged from underneath the ice, and you can see this aircraft, nicknamed Glacier Girl, at air shows around the world. Keep your eye open for it. The point I want to make here is the assumptions behind these dating methods that are used to calibrate other dating methods, like what is assumed to be annual layers in a lake in Japan, with which to calibrate carbon-14 dating. Now, we already know that multiple varves can be formed in 1 year, so calibrating the unknown past with an unknown past would seem rather unreliable, to say the least. Nevertheless, let's give it to them. Let's assume that their ages and calibration are correct. As was mentioned briefly in the last 2 shows, carbon-14 testing has been performed on multiple samples from deep within the rock record, including dinosaur and mammoth bones. In fact, I've excavated and prepped mammoths and mastodons with my good friend Joe Taylor, who had mammoth bones carbon dated. Hugh Miller and the folks over at CRSEF had dinosaur bones also carbon dated. the dinosaur bones should have no carbon-14 in them, as the carbon-14 breaks down completely in less than 100,000 years. Yet the dinosaur bones were supposed to be around 100 million years old. Instead, some of the dinosaur bones came back with younger carbon-14 ages than the mammoths. Yet the rock and soil samples around the dinosaur and mammoth bones showed lower carbon-14 content than the bones. Obviously, this was not modern contamination. So if the carbon-14 dating method becomes even more refined and accurate, and dinosaur bones are returning carbon-14 ages of between 5,000 and 50,000 years old, does that mean that the dinosaurs are not 100 million years old? I can accept that. How about you?